everybody. Welcome to EdWise, Education, Literacy, and Life. And I am Dr. K. Childs, coming back to you again for another week of my wisdom and my 2 cents and my special education shout-outs to those who have been influential in my life or just influential in general. First things first, a couple things I'm going to talk to you all about today. I have some notes because there's quite a few things here. You can't see it. Probably can't see it. There it is. But quite a few things on here. I'm going to be talking about my 2 Cent Tuesday tip, and then I have some tips to survive the end of the school year, just really brief, and also a shout out to someone special doing great things this week. Actually, a couple of someones. So first things first, I hope everyone's having a good week. I'm going to go ahead and get started with my 2 Cent Tuesday. And today is actually Tuesday when I'm recording this. Sometimes, you guys, I record this on Friday, even though I'm giving you my 2 Cents Tuesday tip. But here we go. My 2 Cent Tuesday tip, it is, and I'm just going to read it straight from Instagram. It says, students any age, notice personal touches that you put into your instruction and interactions within your classroom. Again, students notice the personal touches that you put into your instruction and interactions within your classroom. So, with that said, I am one of those people who I'm really big on personalization, whether it be for gifts, whether it be for my classroom. I feel it's always good to have something personal. People love to have things with their name on it, or they love to think that you actually put some thought and tailored something towards them. So, 4 things I'm going to mention that I've used and some personal touches that I put into my classroom instruction that I know we think students, even if they're little, we think they don't pay attention. They pay attention to the little details, especially when you stop doing those personal things. So, for example, for gifts during the year, usually during the holidays, I know a lot of other teachers do this. You guys probably have even more clever things than I'm bringing up right now. But for example, you can get the pencils with the students' personalized names on them. I realize those can be expensive. I'm not going to give out any names of places where you can get them cheap. You'll have to do your research on that because the place that I use, they may not even exist anymore. Plus, they're not paying me for this video. So, but you can find places that will print custom pencils for your students, or even pens. The second thing, come up with a class name. Create that class culture within that classroom culture to give you all some kind of close-knit bond. And if you have more than one class, come up with a name for each class. I'm Child, so I've been the Chipmunks, the Challengers, the Cheetahs. We've come up with some other things, Cool Cats, all kinds of things. So, anyways, so that's one thing, a class name. You're gifting them pencils with their names on there. Photos, maybe having a collage in the classroom where you guys throughout the year add certain memories or photos. They like to see those things. They might say they don't want to take pictures and they start feeling shy around everybody else, but they really do like to look at themselves, and they like that you've included them in your classroom. Don't just include artifacts about yourself or your life or your family or the things that you like, making this frilly foo-foo class if you're girly like me, but you have to remember your students as well and what they like, and put those touches that represent who they are in your class. And then the last thing that I would do, I would dread it every year, but my students, they loved it. And I would tell them I worked so hard and I just worked my behind off and sweat for these. But we had field day, even though I taught in a middle school setting. And the students at one point started ordering shirts. I had a tradition where my students would make tie-dye shirts. They designed them themselves with the rubber bands and put different things on there and different things that represented them. And then I would do the actual dyeing at my house. And it would take a good afternoon to get them all completed in the manner in which they asked. I even got to the point where I would iron on nicknames. And to them, to you, you're like, that's too much work. But to them, they loved it. They appreciated it. And they noticed and they thanked me for those things because they were unique. All the other students kind of were like, where did you guys get those? How'd you get your name on there? So they appreciate those things, and they notice when you go above and beyond. Even though I know we think we're not appreciated, your students notice if you are doing things that other educators may not have done for them. So that's personalization. Some lessons that you can do to make some personal touches within your classroom. And at this point in the school year, because it gets crazy, I know. In my notes, I mentioned that you should end your school year in the manner in which you started. It shouldn't be just, I know it's chaotic enough, but try to keep some control and some consistency, even though it gets crazy. But some things you could do: have class conversations, certain topics or things that you guys have that you have either for the last couple weeks or topics that you have written down. One assignment that I used to love doing, I would have the students generate some topics they were interested in, and we would learn about those particular topics at the end of the school year, as opposed to what I'm always forced to teach them. But maybe we could go a little bit above and beyond the things that we've learned, or even further explore some of the things that we've already talked about, or revisit some of the things that we talked about during the school year, and do a little bit more with those things. The last thing, and the thing that I really, really, really loved, and I've done this with older students, but more so it was a lot more fun with my younger students, because it allowed them to be creative and to do something they've never gotten to do, which is teach their own lesson. Usually the last week of school, I will have them teach our class something. It could be something that they're talented at. It could be something from the class. It could be teaching in a different manner in which I taught something else. But I gave them, and they signed up. They were able to either teach by themselves if they were comfortable, or they were able to teach with a partner. A lot of them like teaching with a partner or a small group, just because they felt more comfortable. So this is something that I would do at the end, just to give them a little bit of something different, as well as we're always so busy at the end of the year. Last thing we want to do is try to come up with lessons and things to do. Make your students accountable. So those are some tips, some things that I've done. One, for personalization, and for allowing my students some say so in the end of our final days together. A cleaning tip. My students, this is how I know they paid attention. By the end of the school year, the end of May, we're not done until like the first week in June in Texas. So the end of May, my room would be pretty. The students would say, "Miss, your classroom looks ugly." Meaning that my classroom was really beautiful at the beginning of the school year. And by the end of the year, it didn't look the same, because all those personal touches and things that I had done and worked, and I had ended up taking those things down. Now, yours doesn't have to be completely bare. What I would do, a tip that I would do is, and this was taught to me by my mentor, is to gradually take things down throughout the month of May, or even starting in April, to gradually, so by that last week, it probably will look pretty bare in the classroom and not look as great. But to gradually do your work. Don't wait until the very last week to do every single thing, because that's just overwhelming. So to gradually, every few days, take some things down, organize some things, clean some things out, to make it a gradual thing. Don't overwhelm yourself by trying to do everything in the last week. I know that sounds like common sense, but believe me, there are a lot of people who are there on the last day of school struggling, especially if you're a new teacher and you don't have anyone to tell you that or to show you what that looks like. It could just be starting with one poster a day, taking it down, or moving something around. But just pace yourself, okay? And then the other thing that I do as a personal touch, I'm going back to the personal touches, end of the year gifts. End of the year gifts for my students. Some of the people say, "I don't want to give them a gift. School year's over. My gift to you was getting you to the next grade level." That is great. But I always want my students something to remember the school year by, as well as to show them my appreciation for them working hard as well. And it doesn't have to be anything fancy. As you know, on a teacher budget, we don't have a lot. Dollar Tree, dollar stores were my friend, mainly Dollar Tree. Dollar Tree cut me my check. But anyways, I would get, one thing that I did one year is I did Dollar Tree, I believe, had beach balls on sale. And last day of school, blow those beach balls up, have the students sign. They have a memory instead of like a yearbook or whatever. Now, I know that can get a little crazy with the end of the school year and people wanting to hit the ball around or whatever, but you don't even necessarily have to blow them up. I think one year I didn't have them blow them up. I just had them sign them. Once they left school, then they were able to blow it up and play with it over the summer. Another thing that I did, instead of the beach balls, one year I purchased frisbees and we all signed and wrote messages. Those are things that they can do and they can use during the summer and they'll remember. If you don't want to buy toys or anything like that, one other thing that I did one year is, of course, I'm a reading ELAR and writing teacher, and so I bought journals and I personalized each one. They were kid journals, you know, they had like a kid feel to them, but then each one I put a personal message to them, thanking them for the school year, encouraging them, letting them know about some great trait that I enjoyed from them. And they may or may not have kept that, but that is still something that gives a personal touch to them and lets them know that you went above and beyond for them, rather than just saying, bye, get out of here. So anyways, that would be my personal touches, my tips for the end of the year and surviving the end of the year. There's so many more that I could share with you, but because of the lack of time, I'm going to stop there. The last thing I want to do is give shout outs. And this is to my high school grads. My good friend, she has 3 young men graduating. I won't say her name because she may not want me to say her name on YouTube, but she has 3 young men, 2 graduating from college and 1 graduating from high school in her household. So congratulations to you. And then also, I want to give a very special congratulations on graduating high school to my little cousin, my cousin's son, Cedric. Cedric, you get a special shout out because Cedric had a rare kidney condition, and this time last year he was recovering from a kidney transplant. No one would have ever known he was going through what he was going through, and I commend him for that, and I commend him for finishing high school. I know he'll go on to do great things because he is here for a reason. He got that kidney to go out and do great things. So I am proud of my cousin for raising such a strong young man. I'm proud of him for finishing despite all the circumstances. So congratulations to you all. Their graduation is this weekend, the 20th, I believe, of May, sometime Sunday, this weekend. So congratulations, Cedric. Congratulations to my friend and her 3 boys in her house that are all graduating in some capacity. All right. Other than that, I think that is it for this week. I hope you have enjoyed the things I've shared. I would like for you to remember to like, subscribe, share this video with someone else, an educator, a parent, an administrator, anybody that has a stake in education. And I want you to remember to teach, lead, and serve. Have a great day, a great week, and I will see you back in the next video. Bye, everybody.